If you think branding is expensive, wait until you see the cost of not branding. Because most people think that they're saving money by skipping on a brand identity, but what they don't realize is that by cutting corners at the start involves being a more expensive affair down the line. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the real cost of not branding your business properly, and not just in terms of money, but time, trust, and long-term growth. So if you're wondering if a brand identity is really worth the investment, you need to watch this video. So let's start with the most common story. You launch your business, you don't want to spend too much, so you get onto Canva. And from there, you'll probably choose a logo template. So now you have your logo sorted out. And for colors, maybe you'll take a screenshot from Pinterest, and then you think you have your color palette. Now you think you're set to go. Or maybe you hire a cheaper designer, and I'm not saying cheaper is bad, but usually it means that, the designer is a bit more rushed, or they don't use strategy, or they're not necessarily an expert in a brand identity. So now you have all these things and your brand looks okay, like it can get by. But after some time, you realize that your brand is not clicking. You start posting on Instagram, and then you kind of get confused what you should post for your next post, or what should you put on your website, and things look a bit inconsistent and messy. And another thing I see is DIY branding is usually rooted in the client's personal preferences or in trends. So within a few months, you kind of just change your mind about your logo, about the colors you have, or you see a new trend and you want to update and change your whole brand identity to that. And that actually is such a huge issue because a brand identity is rooted and wins when you are consistent. So if you're just changing your visuals, it's just creating a lot of mistrust with potential customers. And that actually is the cost of DIY branding. It may seem like a win at first because you think you're saving money, but you'll find yourself constantly redoing things, second-guessing decisions, and playing catch-up as your business grows. Then number 2, we have the missed first impression. Let's use a job interview as an example. So imagine you are showing up for a job interview and you could be the most qualified person for that job. You have all the right skills, you have all the right education, all the right experience, but imagine you turn up for the job wearing a faded old t-shirt and flip-flops. Now, technically, this doesn't take away from your skill set, but you've already lost the room and the interest of the interviewer because first impressions matter. Your brand identity is that first impression. The logo, the colors, the packaging, the fonts, the shapes. These are the clothes your business wears. And we don't like to admit it, but as humans, we are wired for visual judgment. And we do this because it is an automatic response to assess if an environment is safe for us. We are constantly scanning our environments through our eyes, seeing if this is something I can trust or not. And so automatically this is applied to businesses, to brands as well. So if you think that you can get by with an ugly or bad, poorly designed brand identity, maybe sometimes you can, but it is going to be way more harder to catch the eyes of your potential consumer. We literally decide within seconds if you're going to trust something, if you're going to buy from something, if it's worth our time, just purely based on looks. And if your brand identity looks like it's been rushed in the last minute, that's exactly how people are going to view your business, like a last minute decision. Then number 3, the cost of confusion. Now let's talk a bit more about inconsistently, which I spoke about earlier. Bad branding usually means inconsistent touch point. What that means is your website looks another way, your social media looks like another way, and your packaging looks completely different. Like they're just all disoriented and they just all look confusing. They don't look like they belong from the same business. And when people are confused, they don't convert into paying customers. Think about it. If you walk into a boutique and it looks elegant and minimal, but the staff are wearing neon uniforms and the checkout counter plays techno music, you're going to be confused. Is this premium? Is this playful? Am I at a rave? And the same goes for your brand. If you're not applying your brand identity consistently on different touch points, you are confusing people, and confused people will not want to buy from you. People are not going to spend time on confusing brands. They're just going to move on to the next one that looks purposeful, intentional, and consistent. Number 4, branding is emotional. One of the key things about a brand identity and the whole idea of branding is to build trust and to connect with people emotionally. And a lot of people kind of miss the mark on this, or they don't really think about it too much. People generally buy with emotions first and then they lead with the logic. So if your brand identity is not going to make somebody feel something or, let them connect with you, they're less likely to buy from you. You need to be able to build a connection with them. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is through visual elements. Your brand identity is responsible for feeling familiar to the right type of target audience. Think of brands like McDonald's or Coca-Cola or even IKEA. You recognize their branding immediately because it makes you feel something. Now imagine trying to build an emotional connection with a templated Canva logo and some random colors. Good luck with that. Then number 5, the rebrand cost. Now this is one of the most common things I hear from prospects and clients. We did this ourselves, but now we feel stuck. And what really sucks is that this business has spent all this money and time and energy into creating this brand identity, but because it was not done right the first way, they have to redo it. And so that's not only a loss of money, but time, and also the missed opportunities that they could have used to connect with other audiences. When if they had just done it right the first time, they could have already been building long-term growth and brand recognition. Rebranding isn't just expensive financially, it's expensive in terms of trust, because now people have loosely associated you with a certain type of look, and then they're starting to get used to it. But obviously at this point, you know that your business has more potential with a greater brand identity, so you switch up, and now they have to completely rewire their brains to look at your brand in a new way. You basically have to retrain them how to see your brand differently. And again, that takes time and effort and consistency and building that trust back up again. And this is actually a huge thing a lot of people don't think about. It's so easy to erode trust, but building it takes a lot more time and effort. And number 6, which I wish everybody realized, a brand identity is evergreen. Your brand identity is one of the only parts of your business that doesn't need to be replaced constantly. Marketing, that's a monthly cost. Paid ads, that's a monthly cost. You'll always keep spending on new content and new product development and new service development and so on. But your brand identity, that is your forever toolkit. Once you build a strong brand identity, you're good to go. You can plug it into campaigns, events, packaging, website launches, and it all stays consistent. So instead of reinventing the wheel every few months, you actually have a foundation that saves you time, money, and effort in the long run. Let's go back to another example. Imagine trying to build a house without the right tools. You buy cheap gear, shortcut some steps, eyeball the measurements, and then you wonder why the walls are uneven and the roof leaks. Now imagine investing in a premium toolkit and hiring someone who knows how to use it. That's your brand identity. It's the set of tools that allow you to build a strong, trustworthy, long-lasting business. And yes, it is an investment. But what's the alternative? Spending months on what could have been done right the first time? And I also want to mention this real client story. So I think it was 2022, I had designed a brand identity and I had charged the client $3,000. And at the time, they felt that it was a lot of money, but they trusted in the design process and the identity process, and they were like, okay, let's give this a go. But a year later, I saw them at an event and they told me that investing in that brand identity was the best business decision they ever did. It gave them the clarity, the confidence, and allowed them to think ahead with their brand. They literally said, we're so proud to show up online and in events. And that is the power of investing in a brand identity. It's not just about looking good, it's also allowing the clients to feel confident and aligned in their business. So if you're somebody who's been putting off in investing in a brand identity, I want you to ask yourself this. How much is a bad brand identity already costing you? Missed sales, low trust, confused customers, and I have to say this, a brand identity is not a trend, it's not a logo, it's not a luxury. It literally is a business's must-have in today's day and age. It is the foundation of how you show up, how people recognize you, how people connect with you. So do it right, invest once, and reap the benefits for years. If this helped shift your perspective on a brand identity, please let me know in the comments. And if you're still confused about what a brand identity is, I have a free brand identity checklist which you can download in the YouTube description below. And as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.